Good Monday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on Kare 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Happening right now, the Minnesota Senate is debating a package of gun-related bills. Inside the package, a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines, new requirements for safe storage, and more money for school safety and mental health. So far this session, every gun bill that has been brought up in the Minnesota House, which is evenly split with 67 Democrats and 67 Republicans, has been held up. Right now, union workers in Chisago County are back to the picket line for their first full week on strike. Workers say they're pushing back against the county's plans to close their Health and Human Services building. The strike first started Friday, as you can see here in this video that was posted by union workers, showing them walking off the job. Teamsters Local 320, representing nearly 200 health and human services and government center employees, says this strike comes after months of negotiations with the county. Union leaders point to what they call deteriorating workplace conditions, along with ongoing complaints and disputes over grievances and arbitration.
We don't want to be out here. We want to be at work. Our members want to be at work. They love the jobs that they do, but we have to get respect to the workplace. And unfortunately, we're here now.
Chisago County says the union has rejected all of its offers for two-year contracts and that it has contingency plans in place to keep services running during the strike. This afternoon, at least 12 people are in the hospital following a mass shooting at a lake party in Oklahoma. This was the scene in Edmond, just outside of Oklahoma City, right after 10 p.m. Investigators say two people in masks started shooting at the large group of young people that were gathered there. No arrests have been made. New this afternoon, the U.S. military reports that Iran has launched missiles and drones at ships in the Strait of Hormuz. This just hours after President Trump announced that the U.S. Navy started escorting stranded ships through the critical pathway. NBC's Alice Barr has the latest.
In a new bid to free up global shipping, President Trump announcing that beginning this morning, the U.S. will guide out ships that are trapped in the Strait of Hormuz so they can freely and ably get on with their business, noting the ships are from neutral countries not involved in the war that asked for help. The president calling it Project Freedom, and overnight U.S. Central Command said 15,000 American service members will help, using more than 100 land and sea-based aircraft. Pressed about the potential for new strikes against Iran, President Trump said that if they misbehave,
it's a possibility that could happen, certainly.
That as he sent a letter to Congress arguing a 1973 law requiring congressional approval to continue military operations after 60 days does not apply because of the ongoing ceasefire, despite American warships still enforcing a blockade on Iranian ports.
Well, it's a very friendly blockade. Nobody's even challenging it.
Democrats pushing back.
The language of the statutes does not provide for timeouts like in a football game.
It's important to recognize this war was unlawful and unconstitutional from the start.
The administration defending its approach and the blockade's economic pressure on Iran.
We are suffocating the regime.
Though Americans are also feeling the pain of higher gas prices. President Trump has so far rejected Iran's offer to reopen the strait in exchange for the U.S. ending the blockade. The president saying any deal must include an agreement to prevent an Iranian nuclear weapon. In rapid developments this morning, Iran's military command warned foreign forces, especially from the U.S., will be subjected to attack if they approach or enter the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian state media later claimed Iranian forces stopped a U.S. destroyer from entering the strait. The U.S. military denies that and says it now has destroyers operating in the Gulf and helping ships pass. In Washington, Alice Barr, NBC News.
New this afternoon, the Supreme Court has just ruled to restore broad access to the abortion pill mifepristone. The order temporarily allows people to get the pill at pharmacies or through the mail without an in-person doctor visit. That process had been in place for years before a federal appeals court imposed new restrictions last week. The court will now fully consider the issue in the future. Right now, deputies are investigating a crash in Rockford that killed one woman and injured another. It happened near the intersection of Ash and Elm Streets just before 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Here's Sky 11 video from the scene there. The Wright County Sheriff's Office says 2 women were walking on the sidewalk when a car hit them. Crews tried to save one woman who was pinned underneath, but she died at the scene. The other woman was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. The driver, a teenager, was not hurt. This afternoon, former Metro Transit Police Chief Ernest Morales barred from ever being a police officer in Minnesota after surrendering his peace officer license. It has been nearly 2 years since Morales stepped down from his role after he was put on administrative leave following sexual harassment and discrimination complaints. Now we're also getting our first look at those allegations against him. Heidi Wigdahl has the information.
When Ernest Morales III resigned as Metro Transit Police Chief in September 2024, sources told us it was due to sexual harassment and hostile workplace complaints from more than a dozen employees. Nearly 2 years later, a stipulation and consent order details the allegations. According to court documents, in the spring of 2024, several women who worked at Metro Transit Police Department made complaints against Morales. MTPD hired an outside law firm for the internal investigation. The documents claimed Morales said to 2 officers about a female employee, quote, basically gets up on a desk and F's people, and that's why she's where she is in her career. Another instance, Morales allegedly referred to a female employee as a MILF. The investigation stated that during a staff meeting for a fundraising boxing match with Morales as referee, Morales said that a woman officer could be the ring girl, then, quote, held a notepad over his head and walked around with exaggerated hip gyrations to demonstrate what a ring girl does. According to court documents, Morales told a Metro Transit captain about how he and his wife saw someone who is transgender while downtown and said, quote, oh my God, it's a effing unicorn. The Minnesota Board of Peace Officer Standards and Training Board's Complaint Investigation Committee determined that reasonable grounds existed to believe Morales engaged in sexual harassment and failed to self-report his misconduct to the board. Morales denies the allegations but agreed to surrender his peace officer license to, quote, save the time, expense, and uncertainty of a contested case hearing. The agreement also means Morales cannot ever renew his surrendered peace officer license and cannot get any other license issued by the board.
Morales said the allegations against him are retaliation for his leadership style because he was an outsider and was trying to change the culture of the agency. Meanwhile, the board said his alleged conduct had the effect of creating an intimidating, hostile, and offensive employment environment. This afternoon, a cruise ship is anchored in Cape Verde after 3 people died from a suspected outbreak of the hantavirus. We know at least 3 other people are sick. A reminder, that is the same virus that led to the death of Betsy Arakawa, that is Gene Hackman's wife. While they are anchored, passengers are not allowed off the ship into Cape Verde, but health authorities have assessed 2 crew members requiring urgent medical care. Developing today, a Minneapolis Taekwondo teacher says he is fighting to keep his dojo in business after Operation Metro Surge. Lino, the owner of Lino's Taekwondo on Lake Street, says he saw attendance and funding for the dojo stop during the surge. He says now his students might not have enough money to compete at a national tournament in Miami this summer. At the same time, Lino is also waging his own fight against cancer. Now the community is trying to raise money to send his students to Florida.
It doesn't matter if the cancer is killing you, literally. What it matters is the heart and the dedication of a teacher to their students. And I am very proud to say this man belongs to our community.
You can find more details about this story on Kare11.com. This afternoon, the fallout from the Spirit airline closure continues. The discount carrier began shutting down its operations early Saturday morning, becoming the first major U.S. airline to go out of business in 25 years. Travelers are receiving refunds for flights that were purchased with credit cards or debit cards. But those who booked using a voucher, credit, or points will be informed about compensation at a later date. Either way, it is causing a big headache for travelers.
I hope the people who have created this inconvenience for people like myself, they should ask God for forgiveness. I mean, this is terrible.
They didn't even send us an actual email. My husband saw it on Instagram and was like, you need to go check right now. So when we looked it up, it was like, your flight's been completely canceled.
Major airlines like United, Delta, and JetBlue are capping ticket prices to help Spirit customers rebook their flights. The closure also puts 17,000 people out of a job. One crew member delivering an emotional speech to passengers reflecting on his time with the airline.
It's funny, as we sit here, I'll speak for myself. I don't remember any of the bad times, just the good months.
Soaring jet fuel costs derailed the airline's plans to emerge from its second bankruptcy. Spirit and the Trump administration also failed to come to a last-minute bailout deal on Friday. Some shocking new video this afternoon out of New Jersey of a plane landing at Newark International Airport. Take a look at the dash cam inside the tractor trailer here. It's important to note the driver is okay. You can see he was traveling along the New Jersey Turnpike yesterday when a United Airlines flight flew above his truck and struck him. He was taken to the hospital. Thankfully, has already been released. In another video taken by a different driver, you can see just how low the Boeing 767 was flying. Officials say the plane also hit a light pole, which then struck a Jeep on the highway. They have not said if anyone in that car was hurt. The FAA says no one was hurt on the plane. Parents, an important recall for you to be aware of. Right now, Build-A-Bear is recalling nearly 36,000 bears because of a potential choking hazard. Take a look. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says the zipper on the heartwarming Hugs bears can detach and pose a choking hazard. The bear was sold between January and March of this year. Anyone who purchased it can return it for a refund. Stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.